was the number 2 task. He says he purifies them, tazkiyah. Now, tazkiyah is a long process, long process. And it has several layers of tazkiyah. So the first of all is the aqidah, the beliefs, tazkiyah, belief. The people were used to believe in many gods. They used to believe in, they used to make idols. They used to believe all kinds of superstition. They used to describe, for example, the rain is because of some star, the influence of something like that. So tazkiyah is the first, is the tazkiyah of aqidah, intellect. So conceptually, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Prophet to purify them. So anyone who became a Muslim, he immediately goes this process of tazkiyah with nafs. So the first and foremost is the cleanliness of aqidah. Now the second is, the Islam was teaching that all human beings are from one pair. Before that, there was the concept that there are some chosen people, there are some distinguished people, the whites are better than black, or the Chinese are better than the Moor. In the Hinduism, there was the concept that there are 4 types of human beings. The highest one, the Brahman, the second, so on and so forth, the 4 types. And because they came from different parts of their God, Brahman. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, tazkiyah is also that all human beings come from one pair, Adam and Hawa, and so we are all brothers. This is a great step forward in the concept of humanity. Number 3, the tazkiyah of psychological tazkiyah. That is, you hear so much about people committing suicide. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, don't be despair. Don't be despair of the mercy of Allah, even if you have committed a lot of sin. Even if you are failing in this life, your job is to try. So the tazkiyah is so there is the fear of death that is removed from it, because Allah is telling us that death is a step toward another life. So the purifying goes on in the concept of justice among human beings, the concept of equality. That was threatening the Quraysh. They say, here, Bilal and Khabbab, and these are the slaves. When they became Muslim, they become equal to us. What kind of a thing is that? What kind of a religion? Because they had this kibr. So tazkiyah of kibr. So this kibr is a very dangerous thing. It is very hidden. In fact, the story goes that even in the 7th Hijrah, in Medina, and the Sahaba, some Sahaba, Abu Dhar Ghifari at one time called Bilal, "Oh, son of black woman." The black, even after 7 years of teaching the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is kibr of being superior to other human beings. This was very important. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Bilal came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He called Abu Dhar. He said, "Did you say that? You are still jahiliyyah in you. There is still ignorance, the days of ignorance, and Islam has not penetrated in your heart." So you see, the tazkiyah is a lifelong process. Even Abu Dhar Ghifari, who was such a great Sahabi, he was even had a time. So then Abu Dhar immediately put his head down and told Bilal, put your step on my head. Of course, Bilal didn't do that, but imagine how. So tazkiyah is a long process. The Prophet said, so this was his second job. Whoever becomes Muslim, he had to purify his concept, he has to purify his morals. Now the morals were so bad, almost reminds me of today, I mean, the people used to kill, murder, rob, they used to commit zina with no regard, they had all kind of drinking and so on. If you look at, current society, this is modern jahiliyyah also. If you compare the society At the time of the Prophet, the Jahiliyyah society, all the moral vices which were there, drinking, gambling, fornication, this and that, adultery, all these. There is no, one tribe goes and kills all the other tribes. So the America goes and bombs, flat Fallujah because some 4 Americans were killed there. Let's destroy the whole. This revenge mentality. So the Prophet ﷺ, the Islam, he purifies your heart from kibr, from revenge, from if you really go from fear of death, it brings. So this is long process. What is this? So this is the second job. Then يُعَلِّمَهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. So he teaches them the book. So he's not only reciting to them, but they come to him. What is the meaning of this? What's the question? And sometimes they come complaining, it's too hard for us. So then he teaches them by his example. It is not like, okay, I'm a teacher, you see, I'm just teaching you, you do it, I don't have to do it, you do it. No, he was the first one to implement the Quran. If he heard the verse, for example, those people who control their anger, he was the first to control his anger. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, give in charity, he was the first to give in charity. So he taught, he not only recited them, so see the first task which you recite, Yatlu alayhim, then you zakki, then you purify the concept. And the third task was to teach what the book says. The book says something, some says worship one God, there is no other God. Even the Christians and Jews had forgotten this message of Tawheed. So he taught them the book and all the implications. And the book, if you look at the topics in the Quran which are covered, they are infinitely many. The books and books which can be written on the teachings of the Quran are still being written. It is still fine. People now are writing books about the scientific truths in Islam, which nobody had discovered before. Now we are discovering because we have a deeper knowledge of the science of the world, and we find that in the Quran it is described. So the process of learning the meaning of the hikmah of the Quran, the wisdom in the Quran goes on. This was the third task, and yu'allimuna hikmah. What is hikmah? Wisdom. Now, I tell you, these days the word wisdom is not very popular. This is the day of information technology, right? We have all bits of information, but the wisdom is to put all this information together, make sense of it, and apply it with the future, which have a future implication. So what is hikmah? Hikmah is still a very sound word in Arabic language, and is also in the Quran. The Prophet ﷺ, for example, he said, when a mother gives a child milk, the child, baby, infant, breast milk, she not only gives the milk, but she gives them wisdom. What's the wisdom? See, the wisdom is when the mother, hugs, when she is feeding the child, she has to put her against her breast, and that gives a feeling of security, of wisdom. So I challenge you, every person who has been brought up on his mother's milk is free of any psychological complexes, because he has the feeling that this world is created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this mother, my mother, she loved me, my parents loved me. This world is a place of security. I'm not afraid of this world. But those people who are not brought up by their mothers, they are all kind of psychological problem. If you dig them, anybody who commits suicide or who is depressed and so on, you will find something goes back to his childhood. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, he teaches them this book which is revealed to him, and then he teaches them wisdom. And some Mufassirin say the wisdom is the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. every act which he prescribed has some late consequences of it. To summarize, number one, messengers are sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They don't get elected by anybody, and they are not. They don't acquire this position by their own effort. The second, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was from among the people. They knew him that he will not tell a lie against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And third, his task was to recite to them whatever he received, which he did perfectly, 100%, not one single ayah. In fact, Aisha, his wife Aisha, said if he had concealed something, he would have concealed such and such ayah, but he did not. He conveyed all Sujatlu alayhim ayati, and then he purified their morals and their concepts and their psychological fears, and then he taught them the book and the wisdom. And these were the tasks which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you may say these four things are the job description of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he completely did. And then this is our task also, since the Prophet was after his death. The Muslims are responsible for these four things. We should recite the Quran, we should purify our concepts, our morals, and finally learn as much as possible the wisdom in the Quran and wisdom in the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillah.